Welcome back to Creative Collection NYC. We have the lovely, beautiful Snatched Mind. All
Hey.
right. Thank you so much. You are phenomenal. You are a pure light and example of how to make it better in this world. So thank you again for being here with us. Don't cry. Don't cry.
Yeah, I know. You see me tearing up. I'm so sensitive.
It's all there. Your smile is everything. So I just want to ask you this
Uh,
question. What's your advice to anybody that is trying to obtain a more tranquil mind?
mm, to sit with yourself and to be super uncomfortable with yourself until you get comfortable. That's the only way. It's the only way, because when you can be alone, if you don't know how to be alone with yourself, then remember when we talked about earlier creating those safe spaces within ourselves?
Yeah.
When you can be yourself, right? Like your complete self with you, no shame, no judgment, no, and you're just being and you're loving who you are. Like, I know that I'm going on this journey. I know I'm refining myself. I know I'm studying today. I don't want to, but I know I'm doing all of this for a reason, to refine myself in order to do whatever assignment that I have. But it's like, getting that tranquil mind only comes from being alone, because if I don't know how to create a safe space within myself that I can retreat and go back to, that I can collect myself, when I'm around other people, I'm not going to be able to do it either, because now other people are pulling me into their worlds. They have the ability to, because I don't know how to hone in on my own energy. I don't know how to um, I don't know how to bring myself at peace. And all of our peace looks different. You know, like for all of our peace looks different for each and every one of us. For some people, peace looks like them having a huge house, the nicest cars, and for others, it's just having functional, healthy relationships around them. And it's that tranquility comes from getting that tranquil mindset, is being comfortable being uncomfortable with yourself, and like asking yourself, okay, why don't I like being alone? Why do I feel like I need others? And when you start relationshiping with God, I gotta, like when you start relationshiping with God, I think things shift, because no longer am I trying to please the world. No longer I'm trying to please God. You just happen to be here to bear witness to that. And either you're in my way or we're going to do it together somehow. But I'm on my way. So God told me this, and that's what I'm doing. But snatched, I should have said this over, but snatched minds means sovereign nobility achieved through courageous healing, education, and discipline. So at the end of the day, it's like, when you got so much stuff to study, you by yourself. You know what I mean? Like you're by yourself. So being tranquil, I can get you a little, a little soundboard, get
Oh, okay. Yes.
burn your sage, get yourself in the bathtub and put some flowers in it and treat yourself nice. Like I think
Amen.
that's where you get that tranquil, like that brightness of life. Like go get on a plane, go to a country where they speak another language. That's where I learned peace. When left, I left as an escape. Um, yeah, I left as an escape. I didn't realize that until I was speaking to my counselor when I came back. And she was like, "Did you leave America as an escape?" And I was like, "Oh, actually, yes." Because I didn't have to be a sister. I didn't have to be a daughter. I didn't have to be an auntie. I didn't have to be anybody. I could literally be whoever I wanted to be. Nobody even knew English like that. So I could be whoever I wanted to. So I got to create this version of myself that I had never seen. But then how do you create this other version and then come back into an old environment where they're expecting someone else? So you having that tranquility is going to be important because it's your space to go back into. So I hope I answered your question. I feel like that was a little long-winded, but
Yeah, well, it's important to learn how to keep a level of peace. You know what I'm saying? When there's a lot of chaos in this world, so if you find yourself every little thing that happens, you getting excited, you letting your emotions get the best of you, you letting fear attack you and everything like that, it's not going to be good. You gotta learn how to be comfortable through all of these emotions and stuff like that. Let them play its chords. Don't try to avoid them, but just learn the emotions and everything like that. Learn how to sustain them and everything. That's how I feel about it.
that's real. Sis, you look real cute. And I like your look. I'm sorry. Like your hair. It's so cute. Shout out to the sis. Shout out to sis. I love
Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
So earlier you mentioned motivation, varies from person to person. So
it.
I wanted to know, when you're on a long distance run, what inspires you and what keeps you going?
You know what? I use the Nike Runners Club, right? And they have guided runs. So so it's been super hot outside, right?
Mhm.
And one of my favorite places in the world is the Bahamas. I love hot weather. Put me on an island with hot weather, I love it. It's like, you get to drink the freshest drinks, the people are nice. So I actually have a playlist where it's like Afro hip hop type with the stuff, where you jigging, you
Yeah.
got the island music on. And I imagine that I'm running in Jamaica, or I'm running on an island, or I'm running in Nassau, or I'm running, in Barbados, or I'm running and it motivates me because I'm like, I love those are places I love. Like I love those places, the people, the whole experience of the island. So I have my playlist on those long running days. I turn it on that station, and for each mile, I tell myself a different story. So, like, let's say I'm running 9 miles, right? I have 9 different stories that I'll keep in my phone, and I'll just talk to myself and talk that story through. And then I
Wow.
go to the next story, and then I talk my story, because then I'm so busy telling these 9 different stories that by the time I'm trying to finish on the night, the run is over.
Let's see. So how, like for me personally, how could I increase my imagination? Because I see like that's a tool that you like to use.
Oh, I like that. How can you increase your imagination? I've never gotten that question before. I always say the greatest nation that you can ever live in is your imagination. And I would say, get comfortable creating visions,
Okay.
right? Know your desire, right? So once I know so I work with a lot of, let's say, technical people, right?
Mhm.
And engineers, tech people. When it comes to imagination, those are the ones that I have difficulty with, because I'm like, because they're so do, right?
Technical thing.
So how do you open those boxes up? You have to put yourself in that space, like in a relaxed space. And that goes back to the tranquil conversation. It's putting yourself in that relaxed space. Because I'll tell people to close their eyes, right? And I'm like, okay, close your eyes. What do you see? Right now, y'all already know I'm at the islands. I see the sun, I see the ocean, I see the waves crashing back and forth. I'm in my dream just state in place, right? You tell somebody else to do that, They don't see nothing. It's just their eyelids. They might see the reflection of the light because they're looking through their eyelids. There's nothing there, right? And so sometimes you have to be guided through those thoughts. So like I think that's where reading comes in. Like not just, sometimes we get so focused on facts, that we're not allowing ourselves to go into that fantasy world because we're taught that it's silly and it's foolish. So why would I go into that world? But at the same time, like allowing yourself to be in that relaxed space and opening these different, it can come from books, it can come from movies, it can come from, I'm always going to say spending time alone, because when you sitting there by yourself and you don't got nobody else in there. So let's say you put yourself in the closet with the light on, right? And set your timer to 30 minutes. Leave your phone outside, you go hear it beep. And just sit in the closet. And just, your imagination gonna start, because you're gonna start, whether it's you imagining fear, whether it's you imagining something else, you finna imagine something because you by yourself.
Yeah.
So you, even if you start going quote unquote crazy, those are just your thoughts that are present, that are just there. So now how do we create a greater thought? How do we use this to create a picture? How do we, when we spend alone time, like let's say for example, when things don't work out, right? It's like, okay, well, what can I be doing with my time instead that's productive? Right? Okay, okay, what does that look like? Well, what does that feel like? Well, how did that experience go? Well, you have to talk to yourself.
Right.
Talk to yourself. Like, get real comfortable. A lot of people think they don't have imagination, but they do.
Everybody got imagination because we sit around thinking about things we feel all day and let it paralyze us. That's a big imagination.
All right. Just to end that one off, would you say like tapping into your childhood kind of helps that as well, like doing things that you enjoyed as a kid or teenager?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. You know what? My mother and I, we went to the store, and it was like we were planting, like repotting this money tree and all these different things. Anyway, my mother is a cybersecurity engineer. Okay. And so she was like, oh, look at these rocks. One of them said teacher and another one said imagination. So she took the imagination one, I took the teacher one. And she was like, you know what? You're going to teach me how to use my imagination. And like growing up, I loved Barney and Friends. Okay, now nobody bust my bubble talking about how he did X, Y, and Z. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to see Barney like that. Okay, but I was thinking about the theme song. I used to watch Barney. I'm talking about every day. Like I was obsessed. I was Barney for Halloween. I had Barney birthday parties. Like I got pictures for days. My shoes were Barney. But it's like, if you think about the lyrics, right? I got to go back real quick. Barney is a dinosaur in our imagination. ABC's and 1, 2, 3's like in how to play pretend. Like you're literally, when you watch Barney go from that little Beanie Baby looking thing to this uh, form where now we're kids and playing with them, it does something to your imagination. They're going to magical islands and all these things. They're using visualization. And when I rewatched it as an adult, I'm like, oh my gosh, Mr. Rogers, same kind of things as these childhood. What did you enjoy as a child? I love singing and dancing and spinning and hey, Mr. Knickerbocker, bop. That's why I love being a teacher, because I get to be that person, right? And anyways, I say all that to say, yes, going back to your childhood, what makes you happy? Now, some people don't have pleasant childhoods though. Okay, some people's childhood is totally different. So but a lot of children imagine. So I'm gonna tell you a little story about Howard. So Howard, he grew up, and anyways, he grew up in like different homes, and he was in this one abandoned home. And he talks about how he would go to the abandoned home and he would always visualize where he is today. And he would say, you know, I imagine myself with the car and the house and the, you know, basically having a different life than what was currently had. So, you know, going back to those moments, and because I think if you were to go into your childhood, you probably realize like, dang, I was imaginative, I was creative, I was curious. Igniting that curiosity is super important, because then you start to create pictures in your mind of what it could be, what it could look like, what it, you know, the intricacies of it. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's a lot. The imagination thing is definitely, it's different ways you can go about it. You know what I mean? It's different ways you can go about it. Like I said, the fear thing. I feel like a quick way to activate your imagination too, as well. I mean, in the out here, I guess I would say is to go out there and go do something you scared of, because you're gonna see something manifest that you ain't never seen before. As long as you
That's
don't go hurt
true.
nobody. I ain't talking about that type of fear, but do something
Right.
that you've been holding yourself back from doing, whether it's being consistent, whether it's putting yourself out there more, whether it's working smarter, whether it's trying different things. With it could be something like, you know what, let me take my time and actually go somewhere I've never been before. Like you said, you imagine being somewhere. You could put yourself in a space where, yo, I'm active every day. Like just be different. Just do something different. Like imagine if every day you get up and say, you know what, I'm gonna get up and do something I haven't done every single day for this whole month. It could be
Yeah.
a small thing like go to a store you didn't go to see some water you ain't seen, do a workout you never did, read a book you never read. Every single day, I'm good, because in our life we only use a certain percentage of our brains, because we get caught up in this rut. We go to school, we get indoctrinated, and then all we know is whatever we was taught, the little bit that we was taught, and then we just close off everything, crystallize that information, and we just get stuck with it. Our imagination can easily build just by giving ourselves new experiences every day. It could be something very small. Go to that park down the block you never went to.
Yeah.
Just do something you never did. Just do
Yeah.
something you never did every day. Your mind is going to start thinking, oh, wow, that means this. And you're going to start creating different, your mind is going to start, you open up from that crystallization that we put ourselves in from younger.
Absolutely. And creating that picture, you know, I think I really will say this. I think being a teacher, right? A teacher of younger children and all of those things. My favorite age group is third grade and below. Anything above the grade, they start getting hormones, and I just let me catch them in high school, because it can be quite a bit. But I think even when you see that, I would walk into a classroom, right, and be super like just tired, upset, just got out of a teacher's meeting, all these Karens yapping about what we don't have and what we can't do versus what we can do and what we do have. And that used to really bother me. And I used to find myself eating alone in the cafeteria. I was like a loner. And a lot of people, they were like, yo, we love your personality, but why do you like isolate yourself? And it's like, because they knew if they came into I knew if they came into my space, then I control the energy. But if I come into their space, I don't control the energy. I can protect myself and set up boundaries, of course, but if I'm in your world, this is your world, right? But when I'm by myself and you walk up to me, you've entered my world. So my way of thinking, my way of being, um, my way of just doing anything at that given point in time is going to be what's, you know, like what's focused on. I say all that to say that just creating that environment where it's fun. Like I love children because they are so lit. Children are lit just because They can be, you know. You ever
Mhm.
seen a baby learn to walk and all of a sudden they run in with their head, you know? And it's like, that is so much fun to watch and see. And then you got to get up and do stuff with them too. So, you know, I mean, I would like to see myself as like, I'm a very fun but strict teacher.
Mm.
Very strict. I'm very strict because I expect my students to be disciplined. And discipline takes a certain strictness. So they'll see me and I always tell them, I'm like, you choose. So for children, my name is Teacher Toto. Okay. So when I get them, I'm like, you choose which version of me that you want. I can be woo, or I can be very stern with you. You choose which version of me you want. They're like, we want the first one. We don't want, you're like Miss Honey and Miss Trenchable. We want Miss Honey, you know? And so it's like being around that youthful energy and that new energy and humans who are excited to be here, it keeps you young, it keeps you lit, it keeps you excited. Like I was at a point where I didn't even leave my classroom. I wouldn't even go into the teacher's office. I would literally just stay in my classroom because I enjoyed my students coming in and talking to me about their life or solving their problems, um and just having that youthful energy. Like they're so excited about, like, get around people who are excited about life. Like they're excited about tomorrow. Even if you're, you know, even if you're depressed, you know, like get around people who are sure. They're sure. Like now, this don't mean like drop all your friends until you get these. Like no, like the more that you become that, the more you attract that, and the more that that's what you see.
Yep.
You know, I wasn't told when I think I loved school. Um, I I grew up in a different kind of area where we had lit electives. We had, you know, like I was in sports marketing, I
Mm.
was in peer mediation. I was going to the governor's school in the summertime doing mock campaigns and presidential races. I was doing a lot of different stuff that I actually liked and enjoyed. So I think that when it comes to education and it comes to all of these things, when you have, and plus my teachers were paid six figures.
So it's
So
a different experience. Yeah.
that's a different, when your teachers are only paid 30 to 40,000, it's a different experience than when you get that teacher that's making literally 100,000.
Difference. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the
Mhm.
teachers there are going to, I grew up in a diverse environment. It's only, ooh, I was always the only black girl. But I will say this is that I never held my tongue. And I was in an environment where they respected and appreciated that. Like I never held back on anything. Like when it came to history, when it came to, you know, speaking to the teacher and being like, no, because I was taught that Malcolm X, actually it was a whole setup, you know, and then we would go into further discussion and they were open to hearing it, and we would, you know, there's Asians, there's Indians, there's, I mean, you're in New York, you
Yeah.
know, you know the vibe. So it's like at the end of the day, you know, that education is just, that education is key to everything. The motivation, the drive, the just refining yourself, like constantly refining.
Mm.
Yeah, that plays into another part into my next question, because
Wait.
you could tell by your background and how you were raised and your upbringing, that by you speaking about it, that you had a different kind of experience. And every day you living this life and learning every day. Every day is school. Every day is an
Mhm.
experience.
Mhm.
But it's based off your background, like the background of your teachers, the spiritual leaders, like who are the ones that you looked up to help you become this woman today, an empowered woman you are today.
Wow. All praises be to God. Because I promise you, I don't even see myself in the way that I thought that my experiences were normal. I thought that people, you want to know the first time that I got told that I told no was when first time I got told no was when I was in Shanghai and Shanghai, China, right? And somebody was like, no, we can't do this. And I was like, well, I ain't never heard that on the thing before. And I was like, oh, we finna make this happen. This is a little blonde girl from Tennessee. First time I ever experienced racism too. It was with her. And I was like, you know, it's bad when the people around you got to tell you it's racism. And I was like, really? This is what racism feels like? Oh, she's so mean, you know? And but that's a different story. I lit her up, but I had to go to do it. But my mom was a huge she is the blueprint of, you know, of me. She moved here because of I mean, and here is Virginia, Northern Virginia, but she saw the education system. She was very intentional about, you know, where she wanted her kids, because she grew up in Kentucky, and it was super racist. They used to call her the a black horse. She couldn't have certain friends and had to sneak over a friend's house if they were a different, you know, race and stuff. And she was like, I don't want y'all to ever experience that, ever. Like, I don't want you to ever think because you're black or you're a woman or you're this or you're that you can't do something. So my mom, and even her being an engineer and bringing around her friends, right, who are also female engineers, right, and have their consulting companies and contracts and this and that. So I grew up, you know, she purposely put me in an environment that I grew up in, because, and I always tell her, I'm like, you're a genius because you knew what you were doing. You knew the kind of child that you were engineering. She always told me to believe in myself and I could get whatever I want. She was like, if you want to go out there and do it, go get it. If you want, and you know, any sport that I wanted to play, and if I wanted to act, if I wanted to sing, if I wanted to dance, if I wanted to, whatever I was interested in, she did that, you know, and made sure that I was in there. So that is the person for me who really cultivated who I became, and the choices that I made. And because leaving this country, you know, a lot of people were like, no, don't go there. It's communist. It's this, it's that. And yeah, it is all that. But I wasn't about to listen to that. You know, at first I was like, I don't think that I qualify. And she was like, sign up for it anyways. And the worst answer you can get is a no. Because you already, no, the worst answer you could get is a yes, because you've already told yourself no. So since you already told yourself no, just do it anyways and see what happens. And I was like, okay. And those were the best years of my life.
Wow, that's real. Shout out to all the mothers.
Yeah,
all the creators.
Yeah.
That sound like the power of intention was utilized upon you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's important. That's very important. That's a good message to make people try to focus on moving with more intention with everything we do, especially with having a child.
Yeah.
She definitely have some intention set. You know, you can't. You said she injured. I like that you said she engineered you. She didn't say she's gonna be this, she's gonna be that. She just gave you the space to where you know it's gonna be something great. I don't necessarily know what it's gonna be, but it's gonna be a lot of interest around her, a lot of development around her that's gonna lead her to a great path. I don't know exactly what it's gonna be, but that's the good part about what she did. She didn't do it in a way that was like, oh, you know, you must do this, you must do that. She kind of gave you just like a nice route to take, basically. That's great.
Yeah, that woman, when people look at me, I'm like, shoot, if you like me, you're gonna love my mama. Because she when I look back at the things that she did, the things she accomplished, I don't know how she did it. Like, I'm like, I just don't, but she had great mentors, right? And those mentors would come around, and she worked a lot around different like top level, military personnel and all that good stuff. And you know, those were people that I saw. Those are people that I was around. Those are people who still follow my life, to this day, because they're like, yo, I don't know what your mama produced, but I know whoever you are, whatever you are, is going to be great. And when you have those kind of attitudes around you of like people wanting to just be around to watch you grow up, sometimes I'm like, who am I that I don't know that I am? Like one of my friends, she was like, you're one of the greatest Black women I have ever met. And I was like, really? Like, that's, well, okay, wow, okay. All praises be to Allah. But sometimes I think when you're used to whatever is normal for you, when other people see, certain things like, oh, you did, like she was bragging about me. She was like, no, my Reiki healer was trained abroad. And I was like, she was like, yeah, and she knows the original stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, I was trained internationally. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about it. Yeah, I was trained. Okay, she knows, she can break down what I do better than I can break down what I do. But when you're just used to existing and being and allowing yourself to fully enthrall in whatever, like it's a choice. A lot of things are choices. Like it was a choice for me to come back to America. I came back to America because I see what my people are going through. I see, like I'm watching these children grow up and I'm like, what in the world is going on here? I see the people not believing themselves and saying that they can't. Like, that's weird to me. That's weird. What you mean you can't? What you mean because I'm Black, I can't do this and that? What does that mean? Who said that? Where did the idea even stem from? And then I was like, oh snap, white people don't like Black people? What's going on? Like, to me, there was, even if it's subliminal, right? I'm learning, right? I'm still in the process of learning a lot of the programming of this country. But when you leave here, what you learn about being Black, first of all, people love us. People love us. They don't like us, but they love us, right?
Love hate.
And so when you're in these spaces, you get to create your own identity. This person has never met an American before. You're not necessarily Black. You are Black, but you're American, right? And so they've never met an American before, and you're the first person that they're meeting as an American. You know what I'm saying? So when you are, being your best, right? Whatever that best looks like, that's the first impression that people are seeing about you, despite what this media here says about you. Like, everybody's free and doesn't even know that they're free because they're mentally chained to this perception that other people have of them.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why it's good to get experiences in different places and stuff like that. And I realized that myself from recent experience of leaving New York City. Like, you get a different view on things,
Yeah, go to a different city, go to a different country. If you can't go to a different country, go. Even the difference between East Coast and West Coast, North and South, like 4 different worlds. Yeah. Like going to New York, going to Washington, D.C., going to L.A., they're all cities, they're all in America, but they're all totally different.
Right.
So
Yeah.
You choose what you want that different to look like. Would you rather cry in New York or cry in LA? Because guess what? My mentor tells me you got to take you with you wherever you go.
Right. All right, y'all. So we about to close out soon. Does anybody have any final things they want to say real quick? We got a couple of minutes.
This episode was amazing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, royalty.
Squeaky, you got anything you want to say?
Yeah, I'm blown away. I'm honored. I'm honored. All praises are due to the Most High because you are, again, a phenomenal woman. Your friends was right. You probably are one of the best Black women alive. You understand? We don't know each other, but just it's when you leave this earth, what would you want people to say about you? Nobody could say nothing bad. That's a great thing. So just take that with honor. Take that with honor.
All praise be to God.
Yes.
Be to Allah.
Beautiful. And we will, we want to do in person. So we hope that we could get there because my family's down there with you. So I do want to get around. We want to travel. We're gonna get back in touch with you and base and do a one-on-one in person. So I pray for that, inshallah.
Inshallah, let's make it happen.
Yeah, for sure. All right, y'all. So this is Creative Collection. What can make it better? I hope y'all minds got snatched. You know what I'm saying? For anybody that's viewing this, shout out to all the sponsors. We appreciate Khadijah for joining us today. And we about to sign out, y'all.
All praises be to Allah.
Peace. All praise.
Peace.
Peace.